So thank you for such a lovely introduction, and it was good to see what you guys are working in what space and the basic introduction basically. So good to know that most of you have accounting background, accounting knowledge, and working in the relevant field. So this unit will basically build on your prior understanding of accounting one. Those who are new, those who like one or two students they are sitting, they haven't completed accounting one, but don't worry about. Today's lecture will be a recap of basic concept, like what you have learned in accounting one basically, because it's being like 6 months now, accounting process which you have studied there in last semester, and you might have forgotten that things actually. So what we'll do, we'll recap those things. Don't worry about it. And before moving to this one, like this introductory slide, this accounting 2 is this unit is not kind of a theoretical type of a unit or a conceptual kind of a unit. It's very applied kind of a unit. It's applied in nature. Like that's why like we will just laugh, we will learn together, we will share our experiences. So that's kind of this unit is, and this unit requires your attention, a little bit of your attention in understanding the things, and of course, and the most important component, if somebody says to me, Rashid, what is the selling point of your unit? So I'll say my selling point of this unit is its assessment basically, which is applied in nature. That's why we name it applied accounting. So applied accounting means that the concept which you will learn in the class, of course, this is not a high order unit like where you apply different things, but it's develop your understanding about the basic accounting processes. We have the statement of cash flow statement embedded in the unit, but overall this unit is more sort of understanding, develop your understanding about the accounting concept, and then apply this concept into a relevant company. Like the assessment to map your understanding is based on an accounting software which is Xero. So like for example, the first assignment, which is the applied accounting assignment, it's not the assignment that I have developed it. Basically we have outsourced this assessment from a third organization, third party, which we call it Accounting Pod. So basically they have embedded the assignment, they have developed the assignment with Xero, like how to make the transaction, what the debit and credit, what's the accounting processes, how to generate the financial reports. So by the end of this unit, you will be able to actually understand most of the bookkeeping role. I'm not saying you will go and you will be editor of the company, or you will start, preparing bulk of financial statement. Of course, you can prepare it, but that will give you basic understanding of an accounting, and you will be able to do the bookkeeping type of jobs after even this unit. This is your first year and the second semester. That will develop your understanding if you do this unit properly, because I think we missed it, because this unit just a minute, sorry. This is tech glitch actually. Banbi, can you hear us? Sorry, the connection was dropped.
Yeah.
That's great. Yes. So where we were actually before this. Yeah, this is applied kind of unit, like the Xero assessment, which is based on, like we have outsourced it from Accounting Pod. That will really develop your understanding about the Xero and the basic concept. Like for example, we'll go through accounting process, the start from the journal and like debit and credit, generalizing process, adjustment, preparation of simple financial statement, and then we'll move on to accounting information system, where you will learn more about specialized journal and the subsidiary ledgers. So those kind of stuff we'll discuss about it. And then we will discuss about the most important thing, like bank reconciliation statement. Now, bank reconciliation statement, a bookkeeper need to do these tasks actually. Every organization at the end of the year, they need to reconcile their accounts with the bank, and we call it the bank reconciliation. You will learn this bank reconciliation statement. Of course, this will also be tested, I think, in the accounting part 01. And then you will learn about the recording of assets. Like, one is the non-current asset, which is like your plant, property, and equipment. You will learn two things: the costing method as well as revaluation method. How to record it, like, because we are following the IFRS, Australian Accounting Standard Board, that follows the IFRS accounting standards, where we are permitted to use the revaluation of accounts. That you will learn this thing in terms of asset things. And then you will also learn in terms of liability, the key thing: warranties, the current liabilities, non-current liabilities, and that sort of a stuff. Then you will learn in this semester about equity, another element of a financial statement, where the issuance of shares, once you issue the shares, how to record that. So like if a public company, if a listed company, they need to issue shares to the general public, there is a recording process. And in accounting, we are not worried about the things, but we are worried about the recording process, how to record that process, all things. Basically journal entries, how we need to do. We'll learn that thing. And at the end of the semester, there will be a statement of cash flow, which is also very, very important, because this statement of cash flow will also help you in your second semester, which is accounting reporting, which will be taught to you by Dr. Tricia. And that also, over there, the statement of cash flow is also there. So in week 12, we will learn about statement of cash flow. So basically, if you look at the course content, these are very applied kind of thing. Like bank reconciliation, accounting process, every person who is undertaking accounting, they need to understand the recording processes. Bank reconciliation, if you are an accountant, you need to know about what is the bank reconciliation statement. Any company, even a small company, the name accountant, bank reconciliation will come. You need to know. Receivable, accounts payable, and these kind of stuff is kind of a bookkeeping. You will know these things, because there is one section for account receivable and cash, one element is there. And then like assets, because as a part of your accountant job, the first and foremost thing is you need to record the asset correctly. Like, for example, I bought as a business, we bought a machine, so we need to record this machine in a proper way as per the process, because subsequently we need to have the depreciation on it. What things is included in the cost of this machine need to be understand and need to be recorded correctly, so that what things we can't include in the cost measurement of that particular cost of machine, or what things we can include. So these are the things we need to know, and we will learn in the asset class. This is kind of a thing which every business usually adopt, the recording of the. Then same with the inventory. Inventory is also another thing which is important for as a bookkeeper or for a business person. So you need to know about the recording process related to inventory, perpetual inventory, product inventory, how you record it, what's the GST implication in the inventory one, what is the purchase return, sales return. So these kind of stuff, which is the basic concept, you will learn through this one. And liabilities, and same. So basically the content of this unit is mostly the applied one. And it's kind of, if I'm saying this thing, it's the building blocks to your other unit. You cannot be a good editor unless you know the financial accounting. You cannot be a good forensic accounting unless or until your financial accounting is strong. Because for forensic accounting, even auditor, you need to verify the content and how this content is being produced. That is where the financial accounting comes in. So you need to know, if your concept of financial accounting are sound, then your subsequent units will become easier for you. And these are the concepts which you will learn in once. Nobody will teach you again the same basic concept, because they'll build on these concepts. The other unit, they will build like their content on these things with this concept which you already learned. Nobody will tell you what's the revaluation process. Nobody will tell you what's the cost, what things included in the cost. Nobody will tell you bank reconciliation statement, believe me. Nobody will tell you about the liabilities, things like that. No. The straightforward, like next semester, next unit, which is the accounting reporting standard, accounting and reporting, which is ACC 2700. So over there you will just need to know about leasing. Now leasing is like, there is a liability component, there is a right to use an asset. So if you know the basic understanding of asset, you know the basic understanding of liability, that unit will become easier for you. Otherwise, throughout this whole course, if especially your specialization in accounting, you will suffer. So the unit content is important, and to me, not only this is for your professional life, like for as an accountant, but also for your this academic journey throughout in ECU 3 years. These concepts will be important for you actually if you undertake those things. And let me walk through the Canvas side. Anybody who don't know the Canvas yet, or who haven't logged in? No? Everybody have logged in, have checked that one? Okay, that's perfect. So, but still, those who don't, I'll just quickly go through it. Leave student view, and that's the so first of all, if you log into Canvas, this is kind of thing which you will see as a kind of a dashboard. There will be some important thing which you will see it. That's first of all is the home page, where there will be a bit of description about this unit, and then staff contact detail, UTI's information. That's the main information page. The most important thing from this one is, like, of course all the information which is posted here is important, but some of the information is more important for your survival in this unit. What are those key information? Just I'll go through those key information. Module. That's the module. Before module even, I'll go through syllabus. The number one important thing in this unit is to make yourself familiar with the content of this Canvas where the information are. So the important task is textbook and reading. Like, what textbook is there? There are two textbooks. I posted it. One is Financial Accounting, Reporting and Decision Making, which is 6th edition. If you have the 6th edition, that's perfectly fine. Even in the slides, I've referred to the page number of the previous book, which is 6th edition, as well as the 7th edition. So those who have the 6th edition, you can use the 6th edition. Those who have even the 5th edition, you can use the 5th edition. Content is like, okay, it's not that greatly changed compared to that. And currently we have the 7th edition going on, so 7th edition is also there. So these are the books which you can study for this unit. And for this book, actually, you don't need to buy a copy. Actually, you can get it for whole semester for 6.95. It's a cup of coffee. Actually, it's there. Actually, I'll post that information that you can get the access of this book from Wiley for $6.95 for whole semester. So you don't need to buy an e-copy. You don't need to buy, the hard copy. You just one cup of coffee, you can have the access of this book, which is 6.9. I'll post that information today. Which is the 7th edition. The most important document which Bunbury, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So the most important document is this study schedule. This study schedule, I have put all the relevant information in this study schedule, including the key dates, including the key assessments, including for off-campus students. We have this semester the off-campus students, so they can join us on MS Team. I have put those information too. Like, for example, that's the week starting from Feb 19. Of course, today is week, like it's the Wednesday, it's 21st of Feb, but week 1 started from Feb 19. So all the information is there. So today we're going to discuss about recording process. what is the recording process, the debit, credit, and those kind of stuff, adjustment, and these things we'll discuss today. And then the Corlon, the chapter 2009 or 2012, whatever the book is there, this is the reading for that material. Assessment, none. So first 3 weeks, I intentionally avoid the assessment. So the assessment will start from week 3, here, tutorial exercises. So your first assessment, I'll come back to the assessment. So basically, this is the study schedule that you need to look at. Print it and put it in your diary and lock the calendar for these dates, whatever this date, that you have this lecture in this room, and that so that 15 minutes or 1 hour before or 2 hours before, it's send you reminder. If you calendar this thing into your, like in Outlook or that calendar, you will get notification that your class is due on this time in this building, and this is the kind of things which we'll discuss, so that you don't forget this thing. Same you need to do with the assessment. 1 week before, you set the reminder in a calendar, or 2 weeks before, so that you need to know that this assessment is coming up. It can be done in Outlook. So print this assessment schedule, update your Outlook calendar with this use one, and make sure that you install your Outlook app on your cell phones. Most of you are using this gadget, so I'm not against of using this gadget. You can make your life a little bit easier using this thing. Even I don't remember what task I have to do it every morning, or like today I'll before sleeping I'll look at my calendar what things I need to do tomorrow, and then I plan accordingly. So because these days we are living in a busy life, we have to do work, we have to study, we have to take care of children, we have to do the other things. So there's lots of things, a responsibility of a person is these days. So it's become a little bit challenging to keep track of the thing. And these gadgets actually, these make your life really, really easy actually. Put the things, first thing you need to do, print out this thing, lock the dates into your calendar, that these things are there, so that, and set the reminders. Like I've usually set the reminder for 15 or 20 minutes before, so that I know what's going on. Otherwise you can set it even 1 day before, so that you don't miss the statement. So this is your schedule. And the other thing is, like, which we have discussed the syllabus. In syllabus, the most important document is of course, what is the book, and then the study schedule that is on the syllabus. Then modules. In modules, all the content. What are the content? Content is the lecture PowerPoints, video resources, week 1 practice exercises, reading, assessment guidance is there. Like these are the things sometimes there, or sometimes I put it on the assessment in there. But these information will be under each module. And this module, 1 week before, I'll try to open it 1 week before. Like next one, today I'll open up, or tomorrow I'll open up the next week one. So 1 week before, the material will be released for that one. Lecture PowerPoints is there. Video resources, if you have gone through the video resources, I usually don't edit the videos. Like for example, whatever going on in class today is being recorded, and I'll share it unedited one, so that you understand. If you are sitting in the class, you understand where we were, at what moment we were discussing what thing, you can capture that thing, rather than quick edits and then things you will miss. So it's getting you the closest possible experience. If you even miss the class in the day, then you can have the recording available. So same last semester's recording, I've already posted it. There is 2 types of recording. One is on the different material, which is Andrew Priest, my co-lecturer in that unit previously. So that recording, and the last live recording of the lecture. So this semester's live recording will also be made available. And practice exercises, every week there are practice exercises, right? Each week is there. And if you look at the question, there will be no more than 3 or 4 questions per week. That's it. So these 3 and 4 question practical exercises will help you to keep you on track to develop your understanding. And if you have done this practice exercises for all 13 weeks, 3 questions is there, 13 into, I think it's 12 weeks actually. 13 weeks there is no practice exercise. 12 into 3, and then you have done these questions, I can guarantee you, you will get high distinction in this unit. It's not that unit actually, which like always whenever I report my result, I don't have at the moment actually, I was looking at to extract the last semester's result and share with you guys. Like mostly the student in this unit, either they fall on left side, which I will call the continuum, which I'll call HD and distinction, and some are most like remaining are on the pass side. So in between there, like credit and this thing is very less pass, because the object, like the whole content is very, very objective. So objective, either you will do the right calculations or right journal transaction, or you will be wrong, or the answer will be incorrect. So that will be no in middle like kind of thing. And usually 20%, 25%, even 40% of the class sometime between distinction and HD. Before I took this unit, actually. From Andrew Priest from 2021, and before this unit was considered as a high fail rate unit. If you today even meet the student of those who have undertaken this unit in 2020 semester 1, 2021 semester 1, or before that, they will always say this unit is really, really hard. But after that, like I encourage students to actively attend the classes, participate, and now last time our 3 students actually basically failed the unit. 2 out of 3, like the class was I think 36, 37. 3 students failed the unit. 2 students have not submitted or have not attended the final exam, which is the 50% marks. So basically they did and they didn't attend the exam. So of course they can't be passed, because 50% you are missing it and then you can't. Only 1 student who got like kind of 40%, but the continuous assessment marks was low. Basically, I consider only 1 fail out of 37, because that person have attended the final exam and got 40 or 45%. Rest is above 80 or 88% of total pass rate for this unit, and this is consecutively from last 4 or 5 semesters. So it's never dropped down to below 80 till now. Why? Because the things which I've designed, you will see it, it's mostly will reflect you in the exam. Like the practice exercises, if you do the practice exercises, you can solve the fortnightly exercises, which will be commencing from week 3. Each fortnightly, you will have 1 exercise. There's 3-4 questions you need to do, and that will carry 20% weightage. And that's open. That activity is open for 1 week. Like if you have a time today for half an hour, sit, do half of the thing. Tomorrow if you have time, do it. Third day is there. Until 7 days you have a time. It's not a timed activity. It's your own discretion with all the resources. That's the 20% mark. Why I put 20% marks? Not a closed book, not a time exercise. Only one purpose is to enhance your understanding. So I don't want it to memorize the thing, put pressure on you to memorize the thing and then timely solve this true false. No, that even the activities are designed in a way that it will enhance your understanding, learning, so that when you will be sitting in the exam, you understand that how to do the bank reconciliation, how to record an asset, and those kind of things. So basically, if you do all these activities like continuous assessment, so you will be easily able to achieve distinction or high distinction. That's the thing. And consultation times, most of the time I'm available. These days we have tech like MS Team, so you can always chase me on MS Team also. Most of the time, even if I'm working off campus, which usually it's Monday, and someday I'm thinking to move it to Tuesday because of more traffic on Tuesday. It's really getting harder to come. One day is off campus day, I'll keep it on Tuesday, but most of the time I'm available from 9. Usually I'm in campus from 9 to 5 I'll be in my office. And apart from that, even if I'm not in office, so MS Team is the best possible medium we can have an activity. You are also free wherever you want. You can sit and you can have a chat on MS Team if the things you don't understand in this unit. But literally, the thing you need to develop is courage, because we have an ECU value of courage to ask question. So this is most important ECU value which we have it among other values, rational inquiry, respect, and those things. We have a courage. Courage is you need to ask the question, and sometimes this courage will give you enormous benefit, more benefit. Why? Because if you ask one question, that will open up here like kind of a door for you to the opportunities which you are missing by not asking. Don't be shy, don't be introvert. I know most of the people are usually introvert, including myself, but try to speak, try to question, try to talk with your peers, try to know each other. That's what the main purpose of introduction was, that you need to little bit know about your peers, because these are the peers which will land you job. Like for example, it's a referral, it's a networking. It's the best networking is among sitting in your class, like what they are working, what they do, what their experience is. So most of the thing you will learn from your peers also. This is the advantage, staying close to your peers, like build your relationship. And then there will be career fairs in ECU, like one is coming, I'll post today, which is March of 24th, I think. I'll post more information. You need to attend those career fairs, do your networking, meet with the people. Not just in the first meeting you need to ask them for the job, no. Just simply talk about your experiences. Like what's your experiences in the class? Last unit you have undertaken, oh, that was a difficult. What's the changing you see? Read the business newspaper. So, of course, most of you are these days on the social networking side, which is okay, but you can also use these for the information. What's the regulations in the accounting industry? Like for example, recently we have seen a surge in non-financial accounting, which is the climate reporting, sustainability reporting. And the people are looking for a qualified staff in that one, and they really find it very difficult for them to recruit, especially the people who have the knowledge about non-financial reporting, because this set of information is there. Recently, Australian Accounting Standard Boards have released the draft for first of its non-financial disclosure, like which is the sustainability reporting. So you need to understand what's going on in the industry, so that this will help you to make network, give you something to talk actually basically to your industry, to the industry partners or the career fairs, to the prospective employees, so that they need to know that you have the contemporary knowledge, you have the contemporary skills that they are looking for actually. If you are sitting in the class and you don't know what is going on in the external environment, in the macro space, in the micro space, then they'll think about your knowledge is only that related to books, because the people learn more from socializing from each other, from peers. And this is the platform, because you are sitting every day for 2 hours for the next 13 weeks with your peers. So try to learn. That's the important thing. Again, so 3 assessment activities. There are 3 assessment activities for this unit. One will be the applied accounting assessment, which carries 30% weight. And then there will be an online and tutorial engagement, which carries 20% weightage, and examination of 50%. So these 3 cumulatively is 100%. And there is no restriction that you need to pass one, like it's a compulsory to pass examination in order to pass this. And no, there's no compulsion. You just need to score 50%, whether it's 30, 20 here, 50%, you will pass. You don't need to even sit in the exam if you want to just to take a pass certificate. But of course, you don't end up in pass that one. Pass don't look good in your CV, rather than you want to get distinction or HD in that space. And even if you pass this examination 50% and you miss this one, you still have a chance. But I've seen the people who are doing well in continuous assessment, that is assessment 1, and this online tutorial engagement, they always score at a higher end, which is distinction in HD. And it's really, really very good for me to mark your paper if it's in HD one, So I just need to look and quickly I'll mark that paper because it's anyhow everything is correct. So if it's the incorrect, I need to provide the feedback. So it takes a little bit my time. So save my time, save your time, do your best, make all things correct so that I can give you the HD. That's the assessment part. And further, details of this assessment. So applied accounting assessment, which is assessment 1 basically, that consists of 2 components. First component is, as I explained earlier, that what is the selling point of this unit? Accounting part 0 based assessment. That carry 25% marks. And the second one is reflection. Reflection is like in week 10, there will be 3 guest lectures, graduate accounting, just like you. They've been sitting here for 2020, 2019 class like you, and now they've been working with ECU Financial Service Center as a graduate accountant, or some of them already have completed the CAs or CPAs. So they'll share their own experiences. Like they will share their own journey from sitting in this table to standing here, delivering, sharing their experiences, professional experiences, how they find it, those things, like their journey. So you can ask them the question. That will be in week 10. So 3 graduate accountants from Financial Service Center, which is working in ECU, some are account managers, some are graduate accountant, 3. They'll be standing here, they'll be delivering, they'll be sharing their experiences, hands-on experiences about how the ECU is doing in terms of financial accounting, what's the city campus is going on, what things are going on in terms of accounting space, they'll discuss. And you need to write a reflection based on your understanding of that talk. Of course, I'll record that talk and I'll also post online, but you need to reflect on your own understanding. How do you think, how you see yourself in the future, just like those who are standing here delivering the lecture. Because I'm sure this class of 2024, class of 2020, in 2020, let's say 7 in a city campus, some of you might be here standing and delivering the guest lecture in week 10 in my class. So time usually flies quickly. So these 3 years, and we'll be moving to the city campus in 2026, first semester. Right? You know this thing, isn't it? 2024, 20. No, you will move. You will move to city campus. You don't know about the city campus ECU? Huh?
Was it close to?
No, it's a Yagan Square. ECU is a building. It's another campus. Right in the middle, in the Yagan Square, right on the train station. So there is a building. Its construction is going on already. I think 3rd or 4th floor. We are on the 3rd or 4th floor construction phase. So we are already construction. Huh?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yes, you saw it, right? Yes. What's that? This is like, the Perth, you find Perth little bit boring place, isn't it? Like it's no nightlife is there like Melbourne or Sydney or like, right? So we are lagging behind. So this is one step we are moving towards bringing a lively experience in the Perth CBD. So by taking this business school in a city, as well as WAPA, Western Australian Performing Arts. Most of you are aware or not, some of Hollywood actor or actress, they are from that WAPA. Western Australian Performing Arts, one of the unique, state-of-the-art center in Western Australia. So globally recognized, internationally recognized. So basically that WAPA and ECU Business School will be there in semester 1, 2026. So those who will be still there, like I'm sure because this is your first year and second semester, but might be you will end up before that. But you will enjoy if it's the 2026 semester on the experience of the city life. So that's moving forward. Like we are bringing the life to the city, and this is mutual between like shared decision by ECU as well as Western Australia government and Mount Lawley. Currently the WAPA is at Mount Lawley campus. So they'll disband the Mount Lawley campus and they'll hand over that campus to a school, and then the WAPA from the Mount Lawley will move to the right in the center, and there will be lots of, you will see the concerts and the things like that, events being taking place right in the city center. So that's a future like 2026 semester 1. So we'll give your university as an ECU a more prominent recognition at the global stage even. So that's the university of future, we call it. And again, of course, lots of job opportunity in the city. If you see the building around EY and those things, that will be there. So anyhow, we are here two parts: zero-based assessment, which is accounting part, and then the financial sim. So zero-based accounting, which is worth 25 marks. This assessment will be released on week 5. Will go live in week 5 of this semester. Already posted this information in a study schedule. That in week 5 you will be receiving a link from me that you are enrolled in accounting pod in zero component, and then you need to click on the link. Of course, week 6 to week 9, it's a 4-week assessment. We have also put an extra hour like for our teaching to make sure that we cover these things. And there will be 5 modules in it, small modules. First 2 modules are the practice based, which will release to you Monday 21st March 2024, of course with the link. Then module 3, 4 and 5, that will be open on 8th April. Due time of this assessment will be 25th April 2024. Very easy assessment. I've done the practice one, not the final one, of course, and I've uploaded my own videos of those 2. I'll enclose to that one. I'll again upload those, or I'll make them live, those practice exercise, this practice exercise. I sit in my table and I was drinking coffee and enjoying this and doing this practice exercises. So that's just 2-hour long exercise. I think I've done it. So make sure, like, if you feel boring, you also bring your coffee and then do this practice, as well as the final one.
I have a question. I've seen like the semester planner mentions, obviously our students that we have an extra hour for the zero practice. Like, I usually just bring like pen and paper. Would I need to bring in like a device of that extra hour? Or?
If you have any question, any query, you can bring your laptop. You can sit here in a group. You can solve this assessment in that 1 hour. Even if you feel any question or anything, you can ask me during that hour. That's solely designed for asking your queries regarding this one for 4 weeks. And I think with 4 weeks it's easy, because if you even spend 1 hour on that 4 weeks, you'll finish this assessment. So that's the part of the purpose of that one. And another thing is like which I would like to, like, you will receive this week 6 or week 5. It's written over there a link. Don't start this zero, because sometimes the student, they enroll themselves in a zero platform before the week 5. So basically, once you do this thing, it's mean now you have 2 accounts on zero. One you created and one I've sent you the link. And then the accounting pod get confused which account while you are solving the assessment. Then what will happen? We will face significant glitch by connecting your which zero accounts to which of the accounting pod. So basically, you will miss the marks, and it's a big troubleshoot at the accounting pod and to sort out this issue. So make sure you don't create any account on zero before you are receiving my link. So use my link, which I'll send you in week 5 or week 6, which is mentioned on the study schedule, and click on that link and then create that one. So that's the kind of thing which I wanted to highlight. Bunbury, you are getting it right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And week 10, as I mentioned, there will be a guest lecture. The graduate accountant, just like you, sitting here, 2018, 2019, 2020 class of. Now they've been working in financial service center. Some of them have completed CA. They moved to the big companies also. Some flies to EY, some got jobs in KPMG, and some are still working here because they enjoy working in a small company compared to big one. And yes, they will be here and they'll deliver a talk, and then you need to write basically your reflection based on their talk. Nothing, just 350 to 500 words, your own word, and you will have 2 weeks to complete this. Even every day, if you write 1 line, so by the end of 2 weeks you will be able to submit that one, and that carries 5 marks. Like, because applied accounting assignment carries 30% marks, 25 marks is the component which is accounting pod, and 5 marks is the reflection one. Accounting pod have the different date, which is already mentioned, due date, and then the reflection have the different date. So these 2 combined will give you 30% marks. And most of the time, like when I've based on my experiences, both in accounting pod and this reflection component, student scores mostly distinction and HDs. It's easier to get it here because it's designed like that, again, to enhance your understanding, nothing else. And another important component of assessment component of your this unit is your online and tutorial engagements. These are fortnightly exercise, 6 of them starting from week 3, ending in week 13. So these are the 12 exercises, 6 exercises starting from week 3, fortnightly exercises, ending in week 13. So that will carry a weight of 20%. What are they? This is based on, like, for example, first 1 and 2 weeks. Today we will discuss about recording process. Next week we will discuss about accounting information system. So I'll combine these 2 things and I'll put 3 questions as a part of your tutorial exercises. And you will have 1 week essentially to complete that one. It's not timed one. So you will essentially have whole 1 week that will be due, like if 3rd week assessment I release on 3rd week, so that will be due in the 4th week by Wednesday. So you will have 7 or 8 days, 7 days effectively to complete that assessment. It's not timed one, like you can do bits by bits. Like today you sit half an hour, you completed part of it, next day you do it again, next day again. It's not like you need to complete it in one sitting. No, it's an easy thing. So that's the 20%. And again, this will be also based on your practice exercises, which every week is available to you. So make sure you do the practice exercises well before attempting these fortnightly exercises. These are 6 of them. And sometime I may change, like depending upon the students. Like I can pick best 5 out of 6. But again, that decision I usually take it at the end of the semester. Because sometime, some week you are not doing great, and to compensate that one, best 5 out of 6. Whatever the best 5 out of 6, I'll pick that one and count it as 20%. But right now it's 6 exercises you have to attempt. As I already explained you, the pass rate is pretty good from based on my experience from last 4 and 5 semester consecutively. Like we are getting around 85, 83, 87% pass rate, which is good, with a distinction, high distinction rate of above 40. Above 40, higher distinction when you combine distinction and higher distinction, above 40% class. And I don't mind in giving you the HD if you really deserve it, because it's an objective one. It's easy one actually. It's not something that is based on the lecturer's interpretation, I would say. It's based on the facts actually. If you correctly wrote this entry, you will get the points. Again, so that's the little bit introduction. So another thing which I would remind you is these assessments. At the moment I have posted these 2, you can see it, which is applied accounting assessment, 25 marks. This is my one. Yes, it's marks. I'll open it up actually. And then you have this assessment. So basically last time most of the students, they were asking me that they haven't submitted, but because once the due date 25th April, this will show like you haven't submitted the assignment. Why? Because you are undertaking this assessment on a third party platform, which is Accounting Thought. You are not undertaking here, so you don't need to submit anything here. This is just a guidelines are there, that what's the purpose, how these things is there. So you just need to complete it and then forget. So I will take the marks from the Accounting Thought and I will manually put this one here. So after even due date, you see that you haven't completed this assessment, so ignore it, this. And then the reflection part. So this is the module part, which is like the resources and video recording, this practice exercises. I already posted the solution to the practice exercises, but it's just for your own understanding. It's like you don't need to see the solution first, you just need to try to solve it. If you don't understand, just go through solution. Still don't understand, wrote it to me, I'll write it, I'll get back to you. Call me on MS Team or have a meeting with me. I prefer having the quick chat in MS Team or after the class, rather than writing long email just to teach you a concept on an email. It's sometimes become challenging and difficult actually. It's good to have a little bit of call on MS Team or a meeting, on a quick meeting on MS Team will serve the purpose. And this will be a SBL Career Hub. Actually, currently there is nothing showing up, But here we'll post it like those information related to the carriers things actually, because time to time we will have those things. Any question from Bunbury? No question from the class? So till now everything is clear? If everything is clear, then we need to give ourselves a break of 5 minutes, and then we will start with the debit and credit. So let's start from debit and credit. I know you know that what is debit and what is debit and credit rules, but little bit recap as I explained that today we will discuss about the recording process, and starting with the debit and credit. What is debit? What is credit? Tell me. Who will tell me? Who will answer me?
I'll have a go.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry.
So
Yeah, we have a.
I'm gonna go back to my brain, but
Yeah.
so like debits and credits. Well, debits like when you're looking at financial statements, debits on the left, credits on the right. But a note I made was economic benefits for a company or a business, and credits are usually a source of economic benefits. They could be equity from owners, or it could be like Okay, so economic benefits for a company can often come from a source or credits such as financing from debt, such as like a loan or owner's equity, so that's a source for economic benefit. And debits often can be the destination, so that could be dividends, paying them out back, purchasing of assets, which can bring future economic benefit, and then paying for expenses. So generally, in a nutshell, credits go on the right, and they're a source of economic benefit, and debits usually go on the left, and they are a destination from economic benefits.
That's good. Yes, that's good explanation and well recapped. So glad you have still remembered those concepts from accounting on. That's good. Debit basically, as I explained. So for you, just quick recap. So we have this, the T accounts. In accounting, we use called T accounts, right? T things here. So anything which is on right side of this thing, we call it debit. Anything on in a left side of that one is credit, right? This is the thing which we have it in debit and credit. The right side of a T account we call it debit, and left side of a T account we call it a credit. Now, as he mentioned about the assets and the expenses, yes, that's once we have sorted out these issues, then we will move to the nature of that. Like what is the mnemonic that we can use in order to categorize what thing is debit, what thing is credit, as he correctly explained actually. So this is right and left hand side. Now tell me, what are the elements of financial statement? Let's start with that. What are the elements? Number 1, assets. Number 2, liabilities. Number 3, equity. Number 4, revenue. Number 5, expense. These are the elements of that thing, right? Right. Now, how you know which thing will be debit and which things will be credit? That's an important question. I'm saying right side is a debit, left side, right side is a credit, left side is a debit, right? And how you classify what things gonna be debit, what things gonna be credit from the elements, because whatever we do in accounting, we play with these elements of of statement. These are the elements. So in asset, there can be current asset, non-current assets. The classification, any accounting you will see like these different classification. In current asset can be cash, can be account receivable. Then non-current assets can be plant, property, equipment, which we call it PPE. And this kind of stuff is done. Intangibles also will be under the non-current asset. When we'll discuss asset, we'll discuss this in detail, what are non-current asset. Same with the liabilities, current liability, accounts payable will be the bill payable, anything which is payable, basically that's the current liability. Long-term liability, we will see the loans, borrowings, and these are the long-term liabilities for us. And then equity have two components, two portion. One is retained earning, and the other one is share capital. Perfect. Share capital. So retained earning is anything which we left after distributing the profit to shareholders, like we call it dividend. The distribution of profit to shareholder, we call it dividend. So anything which we left after issuing the dividend, we call it is a retained earning, right? And the share capital is the owner's equity, owner's stake in a company. For example, like in any BHP and any company which issue the shares, basically, if you purchase the shares, you become owners, and your money for the company will become a share capital because they have issued the shares. So these are the two components for that one. And of course, revenue will be, of course, this is revenue from sales, revenue from services, revenue from selling the product. So that's the revenue. There is another thing which is, we call it revenue in advance. So this is another concept. When we'll discuss adjusting entry, I'll go through that one, revenue in advance. Basically, you get the amount before you provided the services or deliver the goods. So that we'll call it revenue in advance. Basically, revenue in advance is your liability, is not your revenue according to revenue recognition criteria. That is, when you can recognize the revenue only and only when you have provided the services or once you have delivered the goods. At that stage, you can recognize the revenue, you can call it a revenue. Since we have received the money but we haven't provided the services and we haven't delivered the goods, in the case of revenue received in advance, so we can't classify this as a revenue, rather we will classify it as a liability unless and until we have provided the services, delivered the goods. Then of course, then we will move this revenue in advance as from liability, will decrease the liability and will move increase our revenue at that time. So we have expenses, we have lots of expenses in the business because no business can flourish or can produce this profit or generate the revenue unless they incur some sort of expenses. For example, if I'm delivering a pizza, of course I'm using my car, I'm using the depreciation, I'm using my time. That is the expense which in order to get some sort of a money. Same with a cafe, like we have a Cafe 6, we have a Bermuda Cafe, so they have expenses in order to generate the revenue, like they have purchased the inventory and then they're selling the inventory, so purchasing inventory, of course, kind of an expense is there, right? So this expenses will generate, basically that's the driving force behind your revenue. So expenses and the revenue. There is also criteria of expense and revenue recognition and the criteria. Expenses, whenever they incur, rather than payment or this thing, we need to record that expenses actually. That's why we call it. And these are the elements. Now how we classify these elements into debit and credit, because of course these will be the elements throughout the financial statement which we'll be discussing, which we'll use to produce the financial information. So how to classify this thing, we will use in this whole thing a mnemonic which is called dealer. Do you know the dealer? DEALER. So basically this is the mnemonic that I tell my student to remember it. I usually don't ask many things to remember it, but this is a kind of a dealer. So this is a mnemonic that you can remember it for the debit and credit rule. Like D stand for dividend, E stand for expense, A stand for asset. A stand for asset. If as a result of any transaction, what is the transaction? Exchange of economic benefit across the entity at arm's length. That is, we call it a transaction actually. There is a difference between transaction and event. If you hire someone, that will be an event. If a person even work for 1 minute for you, then it becomes like transaction because now you are liable to pay him. So it's an economic benefit you have done. So that's the transaction. There is a difference in transaction and events. So remember that thing also. So dividend, expense, and asset. If as a result of any transaction, we will evaluate a transaction based on these 6 things. If as a result of transaction we see that there is an increase of dividend, there is an increase of expense in any transaction, or any transaction, we see an increase in asset as a result of that transaction, we will write it as a debit in a left side of a T account. We'll call it debit. And as a result of any transaction, if we see a decrease in liability, L stand for liability, E stand for equity, R stand for revenue. If as a result of any transaction, if there is an increase of liability, equity or revenue, we will consider it as credit, and vice versa, opposite. If any transaction result in increase in dividend, expense and asset, we will record it as a debit. If as a result of any transaction we see there is a decrease in dividend, there is a decrease in expenses, there is a decrease on asset, we will classify as a credit. That's if as a result of any transaction we see increase in liability, equity, revenue, we will consider as a credit, and vice versa. Let's take one example now. We still have time. So now dealer is in front of you, like company issues share of 500 on cash. Now this is a transaction, right? Because company issues a share of worth 500 to on cash, like they have received the cash for this issuing. Now this is transaction. First of all, in order to classify its debit and credit, we need to know which two or more accounts will be affected by this transaction. Identification of accounts are most important thing in accounting, in generalizing the entries. Identification of correct account. So company issues shares of 500 on cash. So which two accounts? Yes. Sorry, it's first of all is cash, which is an asset account. This will be affected by this transaction because we will be receiving as a cash of $500. That's one thing. Correct. Perfect. And another thing is the company is issuing the shares. Issuance of share means share capital, because owner stakes will increase in a company. That's called share capital, like the equity component, because equity have two components: share capital, which is the owner stake in a company, and the second component is what? Is retained earning. So here we have second is share capital. Now share capital will decrease or increase as a result of this transaction. Tell me. Yes?
Well, assuming
Yes?
credit the share capital?
Share capital is equity. No, I'll just say first increase. So let's make it this way. As a result of this transaction, the cash in a company will increase or decrease? Yes. Previously company have, let's say, zero cash. Now once they issue the share, they will have a cash of 500 in their account. Right? Cash means asset is increasing. What about the second, share capital? Previously there was no stake of owners in the company. Let's assume like this. Now because of this transaction, there are owners that are claiming $500 as their share in a company, because they have given the $500 to the company for receiving a share. So basically that's the owner stakes share capital. Previously zero, now that is $500. Right? Let's take our mnemonic, which was dealer. Dividend, expense and asset, if increase as a result of any transaction, we need to debit it. What thing here we need to debit? Cash, because cash is an asset, increase as a result of any transaction, so debit. That's the simple thing. What about the share capital? Share capital is a part of equity, and equity is the second, like LER, liability, equity and revenue. And I have explained this mnemonic that if as a result of any transaction, if these three things increases, we need to credit it. So here share capital is kind of an equity, is a component of an equity. So it's increased as a result of this transaction. So what we need to do? Credit. So basically now in the journal rule we have what? First of all, date. What is the date? I didn't mention. Let's say it's happened on 21st Feb actually. 21st Feb. Okay. Then you have particular accounts actually. Account. What accounts you need to use? You need to use here first of all cash, because those accounts, there is two accounts here, cash, and the second account is your share capital. Debit and credit. This is the T account. Now cash is debit. How much? $500. Share capital is credit because it's on other side of mnemonic credit. And you can write a description, issue of shares. Anything you can. This is called description. So basically that's generalizing. So generalizing the process is you have this transaction. First of all, transaction you need to identify accounts, two or more accounts which can be affected by this transaction. Here we identified two because there was a cash, there was a share capital as a result of that. Then we use our mnemonic. What was that mnemonic? Dealer. Which is dealer means D for dividend, A for asset, E for expense, A for asset. As a result of any transaction, if any of these three increases, we call it debit. And if as a result of any transaction these three decreases, we credit it, and vice versa for LER. So basically we identified and we post this. This is the generalizing entry. Any doubt in generalizing debit and credit? Clear? So you can do everything. Like for example, company paid wages to the employees, right? On cash. Paid mean of course cash. So that will be two accounts. Which two accounts? Cash and expense. Yes, wages expense. Right? Cash is an asset because if company pays it, it means cash will go down. It means asset will go down. So asset need to be credited. And expense. Expense is increasing. Previously there was no expense. Now company have paid it. This expense, wage expense goes up $500. So if as a result of deal E mean expense is increasing as a result of this transaction, we need to debit it. So wage expense debit, cash credit. How much? Whatever the amount. And then date. So that is called journal entries. Clear? So if you follow this small rule, all of these transactions will be easier for you. Think about any transaction. Use this formula, everything will be okay. Don't need to actually think like whatever. Only thing you need to do it just to identify correct accounts. And correct account, you can get it the information from charts of accounts. Charts. What are the charts of accounts? Charts of accounts is accounts that each company uses. For example, if ECU, you look at the charts of account, maybe they'll call wage expense to salary expense. Maybe they'll not use the word wage expense. They use the salary expense. Or they say employees expense. This is their charts of account. Maybe they call it teaching expense. This is their charts of account, how they define it. So every company, in the manufacturing company, there will be different charts of account. In a service industry, there will be different. Each company have a different charts of account. So you need to follow the charts of account, and then you need to do this. That's the debit and credit rule, right side and left side. So all of this slide is actually basically whatever I've told you. This is the same thing. Name of account, debit side, credit side. If you follow this thing, done. And there is animations and videos in this slide which you can watch later on. And steps in recording process. I already explained the steps in the recording process. What first step is there? What is the first step in recording process? Yes. Okay. Now we are moving towards steps in the recording process. So first of all, what was the first step? First of all, we just read this transaction, right? We analyze the transaction. First step is to determine its effect on accounts. What are those accounts? First of all, we identify the accounts. Cash, share capital in that case, right? And then we analyze. As a result of this transaction, they are increasing or decreasing. Just this is the part of analyze process, right? And once we have sorted out, then then our mnemonic kicks in, the dealer one, DEALER, and then we interpret this one, and we see what is debit, what is credit, and then we generalize it. The process of generalizing the entry is date, account, debit, and credit. So some of the student in accounting usually they put like first of all share capital here credit and then cash it. So the rule is in the accounting is you always need to prioritize the items that with a debit balance. I mean first always write which is debit. Like here the cash is the debit one, that's why I first use this cash account as debit. In the next one, when the employee's salary and the wages is cash, I put it second. I put the expense in the top as a debit one. So basically in accounting process, I've seen some when I'm marking, though it's not wrong, but the rule when you will never see this kind of thing in the industry practice is always debit. You need to first report the debit, then followed by the credit. So I can put this one share capital here and the 500 credit and debit here. No, this will not be appropriate actually. Appropriate is always follow debit first and then followed by credit. So that's the things when you now you have posted this thing here. You have posted this thing here. Now account, debit, credit, and that's small description. This small description is so that you need to know what you have done it. Like for example, the second example I have given, the company paid wages. That's enough for me. Whatever you write, like that one description which can explain this transaction, that's there. So this is your journal. Once you're done with journal, then you need to post this journal entry to a ledger one. Why it is important? Because if you look at this journal, every time there is a transaction, you need to have one journal. Now, in a day, you will have thousands or if not hundreds of the entries. Now, somebody at the end of the day asks you, what's the balance in the cash one, a cash account? How you will identify it? You start counting. Okay, one transaction cash, another transaction cash. It was debit, it was credit, and at the end of this, you manually calculate and tell the person, okay, this is my cash balance. It takes lots of time, right? To save that time, you need an individual account for this, each of these. So we call it ledger. Basically, what is ledger? Ledger summarizes the record of individual account. Like this cash here. If once we done this one, what we need to do, the second step for the ledger one, we simply put in a ledger form, that is the cash account, that is the share capital account. This is the ledger, debit and credit. Then date 21st Feb, cash was coming into the like this is the debit cash, not coming in 500. Now what here we need to write in the ledger, we call it cross posting. Cross posting here, instead of writing cash, because this was a cash debit, I use the cross posting, the share capital here. Why I use the share capital? So that I know that this cash which I received 500 was the issuing of shares. That's called cross posting. If I only put here cash, I'll not know from where this cash comes in. So in the second thing, when we have like 21st Feb, let's say $200 company paid in the cash to the wages, expense, wage, expense, 500 debit, 200 debit, let's say cash, credit 200. This is another transaction which I didn't reiterate, but let's say this. Now here the cash is going to be credit $200. But what? By wage expense. Right? For that thing, issuing of share, now next share capital, debit and credit. What is that amount? Credit side, $500, 21st of Feb. Due to what? Due to cash. means we have received the cash and we have issued the share. So this is another ledger account. So for this entry, wage and cash we already put it here. For the wage expense, we don't have a ledger account. We need to create another ledger account like here. Wage expense. Because cash we have debit, credit. 21st of Feb, $200 cash, and this was the wage expense. Now we have individual wage expense, cash, share capital. So at the end of the day, we can easily calculate 500 debit, 200 credit, so 300 is like net. Right? So it's easier for us to see all the transaction related to cash, summarize it, share capital, wage expense in one go. That is called general ledger. Yes.
So good question. When you're doing the cross posting, is it just referencing the account that's relevant? So say you issued shares, but because the account is called share capital, was the cross posting you wouldn't put issued shares, you should put share capital. Is that right?
Yes, share capital.
Okay, I wanted to clarify.
Basically, just for your understanding, is like this. We post it. Why we post the cross post? Just to enhance our understanding. That should be the purpose actually. That we need to know from where we get this cash. Like that's all about this account. Like this will be the ledgers one. So this is the three things which we are discussing. Done. So this is your posting. Journal I've done. Journal ledger I've done. Posting we have done it actually. This is the posting. This is the same thing actually. The posting which I've shown you, like cash, no reference, then the cross reference included. Like this is no reference. This is the reference included. Now we know this cash is because of share capital. This cash is we received the bank loan of cash of 5,000. Revenue received in advance. This is cash we received at $1,200. Because of revenue received in advance, we have received the revenue for a services or a product, but we didn't deliver the goods or provide the services. This is why service revenue. It's mean we make sales of how much? $10,000 cash, not account receivable. Here office equipment, we paid office equipment $5,000 because it's a self-explanatory. Even I haven't gone through the transaction, but I'm telling you, I'm explaining you these things. Why? Because of the cross reference. That's how it's helped you. Here I don't know like which one is there. That's basically understanding of the posting, importance of posting. And there is one slide which actually explains everything. This is the thing which actually summarizes everything. If you look at this, transaction is 1st October, issue share of 10,000. So basic analysis, first one, the cash is increased 10,000, which is and equity is increased 10,000. Equity is share capital actually. The same thing like me. And then you analyze it. Asset increase, cash is increasing. I've just done with the arrows. They have put the plus and the minus sign. The cash is plus 10,000 and equity is plus 10,000. So because look at our mnemonic dealer, dividend, asset, expenses and equity. Asset is increasing 10,000. That's the debit cash. And then this is one. This one we are with the post reference number, like the ledger number. Here we put it usually if we have it. This is the manual things actually. 100 is for the when you see the charts of account, there will be a post reference number. This reference number. So most of the time, 100 series is for assets, all the assets. 100 series, 101 maybe cash, 102 maybe account receivable, 103 for something. So it can change, but usually I'm telling you, 100 is for asset. 200 is for liability, 200 series, 300 series is for mostly for the equity, 4 is I believe it's revenue or expenses is there, 4 and 500, so it's alternative. So it's always kind of that, it's easier to do that. So this is how they done it up to the posting. From this posting, like we did it here. So that was the recording process. And can I forward this to sign actually? So, any doubt in this recording process? The summary of recording. Now, if you see this thing, we have 1, 2, 3, at least 3 ledger account. So if somebody asks you, can you tell me what is your balance in the assets? I don't know. I need to calculate cash is also my asset. Okay, maybe there is account receivable, another one. Okay, that is also asset. Okay, plant, property, and equipment ledger account, that's also an asset. So I need to calculate each and everything, and then before telling them that is my asset balance. And if they ask me, what about your expenses balance? So if I have many expenses accounts, so wage, salaries, office equipment, supplies, if those are my expenses, I've listed down it, I have to calculate to tell them. So basically it will take more time. So what happened? Then to sort out these issues, we combine all these end balance of these accounts, ledger accounts, into a format which we call it trial balance. So in trial balance, all these balances and balance of these accounts are documented in a way that we understand it. Example of trial balance. I'm just, hopefully it can open up. I don't think so that will open up for my book. So this trial balance I'm just showing you. Maybe you can, if I'm okay. That's the trial balance actually. This is a trial balance which I'm telling you. Like for example, we have here. That's the trial balance. We have assets account, account receivable, liability, accounts payable, liability, accounts payable, building, cash, cost of sale. It's disturbed, but it's still there. So we have the balance debit and credit. That's the trial balance. So end balance from this, for example, cash we have now 300. So after balancing with 300, we put it here as a debit side. So basically, this is the trial balance. So we started from debit and credit. We have a journal entry. We have a ledger entry. These are the ledger, and from the ledger end balance, we need to put in the trial balance. From the trial balance, we will use to adjust the entries. Like for example, adjustment. Next week we'll discuss about the accrual accounting concept, where we need to do some adjustments actually. From that adjusted, we will create adjusted trial balance, and from adjusted trial balance, we need to prepare the statements. So which the part of that we will do it there. So this is adjusted trial balance. So this is exercise which you can do it. Like for example, cash at bank account balance this. I don't know what is it. Yes. Cash at bank debit, 28 account receivable debit, and supplies debit. So they don't have a credit. Yes. Basically that's how they prepare. These are exercise activity which you can watch. So today's lecture was mostly a recap. We discussed about what is debit and what is credit. We discussed about recording process, like starting from journal entry, what is the journal entry requirement. Journal transaction we should have date, account, debit, credit, and post reference. I'm not very fan of these post references actually. So if you don't put the post reference, I'm okay with that, because usually these days we are using a computerized accounting system. So basically you need to understand how the process works, behind the process. Because if you go to auditing space, you need to know the process behind it. Because in accounting you just put debit and credit, and software will put this information across income statement, balance sheet, everything is already auto-adjusted. But you need to understand. Because if you find out there is an error in the income statement, let's say in account receivable, and what other account, associated account will be affected because of this error. So you need to understand the reverse engineering when you know the basics of this accounting. So basically, the recording process, ledger, trial balance. So this is the things which we discussed. Next week we will be discussing about accrual accounting. First 2 weeks actually these are the overlapping content from the accounting one, but moving forward to accounting information system, and then the GST things, and then the bank reconciliation, then the cash thing, these are a little bit different compared to accounting one. So make sure that these 2 weeks you need to learn more about these concept and the topics, and then we'll further do our this unit. Any question for today's class?
Yeah. Question. It might be a stupid question, but
No question is stupid
if you
actually.
had a